What are natural hazards? Natural hazards are naturally occurring events that lead to loss of life, injury, property damage, and disruption of human activities. These hazards not only harm human societies, but also the surrounding environment. Natural hazards encompass various events that stem from Earth's natural processes, which can be meteorological, such as hurricanes, droughts, and heat waves, or geophysical, like earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. Natural hazards are not to be confused with natural disasters. While they are related, they are not the same. Natural hazards are the potential threats or events that can cause harm, while natural disasters realize these hazards, which can result in significant damage or loss. Natural hazards are often unpredictable and inevitable. It is the impact on communities and the environment that needs to be mitigated through preparedness, adaptation, and resiliency. According to the World Risk Index, as of 2023, the countries with the highest disaster risk worldwide are Philippines with 46.86, Indonesia with 43.50, and India with 41.52. In addition to this, the Philippines also shows relatively high scores when it comes to exposure, vulnerability, susceptibility, lack of coping capacities, and lack of adaptive capacities, with scores 39.99, 54.92, 54.92, 58.84, and 54.98 respectively. This shows that the country has higher risk, which is not preferable. Based on this, the country that is most prone to natural disasters in 2023 was the Philippines, as it is located in the Pacific Ring of Fire, where the majority of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions happen. Indonesia, being the second most prone country to natural disasters, is also located in the Pacific Ring of Fire. The country is also located on an area where three tectonic plates meet, which causes them to have a higher susceptibility to earthquakes and tsunamis. India was the third most prone country, given that 27 out of its 29 states are highly exposed to cyclones, floods, droughts, earthquakes, and landslides due to its topographic features. What is natural hazards management? Since natural hazards pose a serious threat to humans, communities, and the environment, a thorough process of identifying, assessing, and responding to different hazards is essential in order to reduce the negative impacts. In short, it is a process of effective preparation and response to disasters. The Sendai Framework is adopted at the 3rd UN World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction in Sendai, Japan on March 18, 2015. It is an ambitious international agreement that spans from 2015 to 2030 that overall aims to substantially reduce disaster risk, losses and damages in lives, livelihoods, and health, and in the economic, physical, social, cultural, and environmental assets of persons, businesses, communities, and countries, as stated in the document. It has 4 priorities for action. Number 1, understanding disaster risk. Number 2, strengthening disaster risk governance to manage disaster risk. Number 3, investing in disaster reduction for resilience. And number 4, enhancing disaster preparedness for effective response and to build back better in recovery, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. Now, why is natural hazards management important? Natural hazards are events that can cause massive impacts on human populations, communities, and the environment. It has the potential to cause significant damage that can lead to destruction of infrastructure, the environment, as well as injuries and loss of life. Effective natural hazards management is essential as it reduces the risks associated with natural hazards, which minimizes the impacts it causes. Management that involves proper prevention, preparation, response, and recovery procedures can not only help protect human life and the environment, but also progress towards achieving sustainable development.
Japan is no stranger to natural hazards due to its climate location and topography. The country is situated along the Pacific Ring of Fire and in an area where tectonic plates meet, making it vulnerable to typhoons, earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. While Japan has made advancements in disaster preparedness, the country remains vulnerable to many of these natural hazards and remains a significant concern. The government continues to invest in infrastructure improvements, early warning systems, and community resilience initiatives to alleviate the impacts of natural disasters and to protect the population. However, due to the dynamic nature of these natural hazards and the potential influence of climate change, there are still lots of gaps to fill in order to minimize these risks and enhance overall resilience. So what causes Japan's vulnerability to hazards? Well, again, Japan lies in the Pacific Ring of Fire, which is an area known for high levels of both tectonic and volcanic activity, like earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. And according to the National Geographic Society, 75% of Earth's volcanoes are located along the Ring of Fire, including the planet's most violent and dramatic seismic events. The coastline of Japan is about 34,000 kilometers long, exposing its coastal communities to tsunamis generated by underwater earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. The 2011 Great East Japan earthquake and tsunami became a textbook example of the devastating impact tsunamis have on coastal areas. The disaster began with a powerful 9.0 magnitude earthquake, which caused widespread damage on land and initiated a large tsunami with waves that reached up to 11 to 12 feet. Japan is also one of the most earthquake-prone countries in the world because it sits at the center of several tectonic plates, including the Pacific, Eurasian, and even the Philippine Sea Plate. Japan is estimated to have experienced at least 1,500 earthquakes every year, although some are too mild to be felt. This is because any slight movement of these plates can lead to seismic activity. Japan is highly influenced by its geographical location. Factors like the topography and being surrounded by the Pacific Ocean contribute to the range of weather experienced across different regions of Japan. So they also experience severe weather patterns, including typhoons, heavy rainfall, and snowstorms. Natural hazards are known to end in devastation and require major recovery efforts. In this case, there are many factors that are affected, including various aspects of society, the economy, and the environment, including loss of life and injury, which is one of the most common effects of natural hazards, especially since earthquakes, tsunamis, and typhoons can result in significant loss of life and injury. Despite improved infrastructure and early warning systems, the unmeasurable and unpredictability of these events can lead to major casualties, especially in densely populated areas. Second is displacement and homelessness. Natural disasters force people to evacuate their homes, leading to temporary or even long-term displacement. In extreme cases, entire communities can be displaced, which requires emergency shelter and assistance. These events can also cause the destruction of homes, roads, and infrastructure, which can cause disruptions to transportation networks, especially emergency responders, and leaving people homeless. Third is environmental degradation. These environmental damages include deforestation, soil erosion, pollution, and habitat destruction. Those living in coastal areas may suffer from saltwater intrusion and ecosystem disruption due to the tsunamis and storm surges. Fourth is its impact on tourism. Japan's tourism industry is a significant contributor to its economy and is heavily vulnerable to natural disasters. Disruptions to transportation networks, damages to tourist attractions, and the concern related to their safety can deter domestic and international tourists. This can lead to revenue losses for businesses and local communities that are dependent on tourism. Lastly, we have economic losses. Natural disasters can create a financial burden on governments and communities. This is because damages to buildings, infrastructure, agriculture, and businesses made by these events require immediate recovery and reconstruction efforts.
Japan has accumulated a wide library of information on natural disasters and is widely known for its preeminence in certain areas of emergency preparedness and response. In response to this, Japan has been actively sharing its knowledge with foreign countries and organizations. In 2017, a week-long learning exchange program occurred in Tokyo and Yokohama, where officials from 5 countries, Bolivia, Indonesia, Myanmar, Nepal, and Uzbekistan, convened with experts from Japan and Canada as well, on emergency preparedness and response. The exchange focused on several key events. The Cabinet Office of Japan provided an overview of how Japan prepares in response to the emergencies. Yokohama city officials gave a presentation on how city-to-city cooperation helps the city manage urban crises and improve resilience. Private sector representatives talked about using new developments in seismic retrofitting and flood early warning systems to lower the risk of disasters. Participants visited the Tokyo Rinkai Disaster Prevention Park and the Yokohama Disaster Risk Reduction Learning Center, key hubs for disaster prevention in Tokyo and Yokohama respectively, to boost public understanding of disaster risk reduction and stock emergency supplies. The teams examined emergency operation centers in Tokyo and Yokohama, along with the fire facilities and equipment in Yokohama, as part of their observation and inspection of preparedness and their response facilities. The technical knowledge resulted in the development of knowledge products, such as technical specifications and operating procedures, by the World Bank Tokyo Disaster Risk Management Hub. These resources will be disseminated to teams and clients to bolster their disaster preparedness programs. The Japanese Meteorological Agency, or JMA, is responsible for the analysis and forecasting of tropical cyclones in the western North Pacific and the South China Sea. The agency's Office of International Affairs is in charge of organizing and coordinating its global operations and maintaining contact with foreign meteorological agencies and international organizations. As a country that is prone to natural disasters due to its geographical location, Japan has naturally implemented multiple policies and laws that help mitigate losses of both life and property damage caused by disasters. These policies range from warning systems, infrastructure development, and specific acts or laws that addresses or covers all aspects of disaster management, including emergency response, mitigation and preparation, recovery and reconstruction, along with roles and responsibilities for both local and national governments. Warning systems. The Japan Meteorological Agency provides the residents of Japan with a warning system called the Early Earthquake Warning, or EEW, which alerts the people of an earthquake beginning. This warning may come from public sources of media such as TV, sirens, or phones. For infrastructure development includes Japan's Building Standard Law, a Japanese legislation that was first enacted in the 1950s and is still widely used today, with the purpose of safeguarding the life, health, and property of people by providing minimum standards concerning the site, construction, equipment, and use of buildings. This law regulates the construction of infrastructures in Japan, which includes the types of materials to be used, restrictions on certain areas that are prone to disasters, and building codes that must be followed. For acts, Japan's Disaster Countermeasures Basic Act of 1961. The act aims to establish a machinery or system that operates through state, local governments, and public corporations. This includes clarifying responsibilities, formulating disaster prevention plans, basic policies for preventive and emergency measures, rehabilitation programs, and financial actions. This ensures an effective and organized administration for comprehensive disaster prevention, preserving social order, and ensuring public welfare security. Disaster Relief Act of 1947. The purpose of this act is to ensure that in the event of a disaster or an imminent disaster is found, the state must promptly provide essential relief measures in cooperation with local governments or organizations like the Japanese Red Cross Society and citizens. It also aims to promote the protection of affected individuals and the maintenance of support. Japan's River Act of 1964. The purpose of this act is to aid in land conservation and national development by ensuring public security and welfare by comprehensive river administrations to prevent damages from floods, high tides, and etc. and also proper river utilization. It also aims to maintain the natural functions of river water through environmental conservation and preservation efforts. Japan's Act on Special Measures for Large-Scale Earthquakes of 1978, or the Large-Scale Earthquake Countermeasures Act. This act aims to mitigate earthquake hazards by designating areas as having intensified measures against earthquake disaster zones, which is informed by long-term earthquake predictions. It also involves issuing earthquake warning statements based on imminent prediction information. In earthquake emergencies, the Prime Minister is granted authority to take necessary actions not permitted during ordinary times. Japan's key actors in managing natural hazards. Japan has several key actors that help in managing natural hazards, and each actor holds an important responsibility in managing natural hazards. The Central Disaster Prevention Council, which is chaired by the Prime Minister and consists of the entire cabinet, as well as the Minister of State for Disaster Management. The CDPC outlines, creates, and implements basic disaster management plans and emergency measures in the event of disaster. It also acts as an advisor for the Prime Minister on issues that pertain to disaster management, such as policies, how to better coordinate disaster management measures. Japan Meteorological Agency. Under the MLIT, the JMA is tasked with collecting and providing data from scientific observation and research into natural phenomena that can be classified into the fields of meteorology, hydrology, seismology, and volcanology. The JMA offers its services in line with the goals of the MLIT, which are prevention and mitigation of natural disasters, safety of transportation, development, and prosperity of industry improvement, JICA. The JDR was enacted in 1987 to improve the systems of Japan's rescue and expert teams. The JDR provides relief and supplies whenever disasters occur, mainly in developing areas and often in request from governments of affected countries or agencies. They also provide guidance and advice on how best to manage disasters and achieve recovery. DMATs, or Disaster Medical Assistance Teams, in response to the large number of casualties caused by the 1995 Great Hanshin and Awaji earthquake, the Japanese government established the DMATs that can be rapidly deployed during disasters. The DMATs is a national emergency medical team, which is dispatched to areas affected by large-scale disasters to provide emergency treatment. The team usually consists of doctors, nurses, and coordinators. The Ministry of Land Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism, or MLIT, which is an important government agency in Japan that oversees various aspects related to land use, transportation, infrastructure development, and tourism promotion. It is involved in disaster preparedness and mitigation efforts by working to strengthen infrastructure resilience, developing early warning systems, and also implementing evacuation plans. The MLIT implements national flood-related disaster management policies and sensitive disasters, as well as the safety procedures of town development in regards to both man-made and natural disasters.
Challenges in governance and resource management that Japan faces regarding natural hazards. Number 1. Technological limitations. Despite advancements predicting and mitigating the impacts of earthquake and tsunamis, especially in remote areas, remains challenging. Number 2. Population density. High population density complicates evacuation and emergency responses, particularly in urban areas. Infrastructure vulnerability. Japan's infrastructure is susceptible to damage and leading to disruptions in transportation and essential services during disasters. Number 4. Climate change. Increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather events pose additional challenges requiring continuous adaptation efforts. Number 5. Limited resources. Despite significant investments, Japan's resources may be strained during large-scale disasters, necessitating efficient resource allocation. Number 6. Public awareness. Ensuring public awareness and education about natural hazards is crucial for effective disaster response and preparedness. And lastly, international cooperation. Coordinating with neighboring countries and international organizations for disaster response is challenging due to differing policies and priorities.
Prospects in governance and management of the resource. Considered as one of the most advanced countries globally, Japan has invested in world-leading ways of mitigating natural disasters, especially in technology. Japan also embraced the importance of communication, adapting from the most powerful natural disaster they faced back in the year 2011, which is the case of the Great East Japan earthquake that reached a magnitude of 9.0 and of course triggered a massive tsunami that reached 40.5 meters, causing devastating damage, especially in Iwate, Miyagi, and Fukushima prefectures. Sendai City in Miyagi Prefecture has invested in an emergency announcement system that uses fully automated drones to promote communication security, providing information and urging people to evacuate in times of disaster. A survey in the case of the Great East Japan earthquake found that 35% of people living in areas overwhelmed by the tsunami did not hear the audio information from the speakers, thus resulting in 18,000 victims. This new groundbreaking system was realized through a public-private partnership between the city and 4 companies, which are Nokia, Hitachi, Blue Innovation, and Andex. The main feature of this drone system is that it uses a dedicated private wireless communication network, which is free from disruption even in the event of a disaster. Furthermore, an infrared camera mounted on a drone takes pictures of disaster victims and other objects while in flight and transmits them to the city's disaster response headquarters, enabling them to assess damage in remote areas safely and in real time. The advantage of the new drone system is that it can be dispatched faster than helicopters and can call out from low altitudes. Therefore, it is expected to work with the police and fire departments in the future to share information on blocked routes, fire, and power outage conditions, resulting in faster rescue operations. In addition to that, with the capability of flight even to dangerous places, drones can help prevent secondary disasters. Japan's approach to disaster prevention and mitigation has been transformative. With public-private partnerships, Japan can lead the world in preventing and mitigating disasters and enabling tsunami-resilient communities.
Based on our research, I would like to propose several recommendations to enhance the competitiveness of local enterprises in the global market. Firstly, it is crucial for governments and development organizations to prioritize support for small and medium-sized enterprises. This support can come in the form of access to finance, business development services, and training programs. Additionally, investment in infrastructure such as transportation and communication networks is essential for connecting local businesses to global markets. Secondly, encouraging innovations, technology adoption, and skills development among local enterprises can significantly improve their productivity and competitiveness. Providing process to market information and promoting sustainable practices are also key factors in enhancing competitiveness.